If you are going to a sealed play event for Wonders of the First, there are a few things you should go in expecting, especially if you're going in for prize money. Once you put money on the line with any decision, all of a sudden things need to get very detailed, very particular, very formatted, very procedural. And in this video, I'm going to clarify what you can expect at a Wonders of the First sealed play competition. This video will include things like deck registration and the format and what to expect as far as keeping everything above reproach. The last thing you want to do is to introduce anything that can be questioned, anything that can be brought up and delay the game, or just make the day tough for you. If you're going to do a sealed play event, especially in a tournament format, it's going to take at least half your day. So you want to make sure that everything is lined up, ready to go, and that you're prepared not only to face a longer day, but also that you can make the day as quick as possible by getting through registration as quick as possible. And by the way, howdy, if we haven't met, my name is American Texan. I love Wonders of the First, a trading card game that just came out in 2025. I'm having a blast with it. The cards are unique. The game is unique. There is no automatic shutdown, games over in 20 seconds. There is no, when we used to play Magic, we used to draw a hand and we'd say, okay, I have these cards. Do you have those cards? And we would just know who would win. There is none of that. You're never out of the game, and sealed play is the best way to not only learn the game, but also get the nuances and intricacies of the game, exactly what makes it so great. So in this video, I want to make sure that we get through all the rules and regulations of registering your deck and proper procedure, do's and don'ts, and overall help you have more fun. So let's go to the playmat and I'll show you exactly what to expect when you sit down to first start your sealed play. All right, so here we are at the playmat and we're going to pretend that we are registering. So what they're going to do is they're going to give you an assigned spot. So wherever table that they assign you in your round one of the draft, or they post on the wall, go find your spot and sit in that spot. Again, some people just didn't care. They were saying like, hey, I'm already sitting down, I don't want to move. But again, that registration spot and your registration partner that's designated to you, you have to be the one that signs off on their deck. If you don't, that just opens up questions of shenanigans and just hinky business, I guess, if that's okay to say. So you want to make sure you sit at the right spot. If you're not at the right spot, just figure it out. I'll tell you this, at Houston, the table numbers on the tables, the little table toppers they had, did not match the numbers that were in cardio. It was just a logistical error with the venue. So what they did was they printed up and they wrote the physical table numbers on the paper. I would recommend waiting for that if that's the case, just to make sure you know exactly where you're going to go. So for this video, let's pretend that Junkyard Joe here is my registration partner. So you're going to sit across from each other. Now, I'll tell you this as well. There was some confusion. Just because you sit across from your registration partner does not mean you're not going to play them in the future. It also does not mean that you're not going to play them in round one. Seems like he should go right over this moon. Doesn't that seem appropriate right there? So don't assume that you're not going to play this person sitting across from you. You may play them, okay? That doesn't mean be a jerk to them. It just means that maybe you don't want to help them build their deck, but answer rules questions and be aware that you may play them. That can totally happen. Everything is randomized beyond the registration point. So once you sit down, you introduce yourself to your registration partner, you're nice to each other, you're talking to the people next to you, where you're from, how long have you played this game? A lot of them will be the first timers, some of them will be the old timers. And then the folks will give you a play bundle. Now, I don't have a play bundle. I've got some packs we'll practice with, but they'll give you a play bundle. That play bundle has to be sealed until they tell you to open it. Do not open the play bundle. Also, do not take that play bundle and move it anywhere out of sight. Keep it on the table, all right? Again, it seems like a stickler for the rule, but we want to make sure that all the boxes they give you, all the cards they give you are the ones you play with at the sealed event. So when they give you the play bundle, just put it down and just pretend like it's there, but it's not bothering you. So once you get your box, Junkyard Joe gets his box, your registration partner, then they will tell you to open it, but do not open packs. So you will slice it open or rip it open or pull it open, whatever it is. You'll take the packs out of the box and they'll tell you to count the packs. You should have 6 packs. Again, for the purposes of this video, I only had 4 play packs on hand. I didn't want to mix collector boosters with it. I just wanted to use the play packs. So they'll tell you to count the packs. You should have 6 packs. It says on the box, 6 packs. So you'll count 6 packs and then your partner will count 6 packs. All right. And then when they tell you to, and notice I keep saying when they tell you to, because you don't want to get ahead of yourself. You don't want to make it look like you're trying to do something sneaky. When they tell you to, you will open your packs. Now, you are only opening your packs and taking the cards out. You're not doing anything else. So you'll go ahead and open up your packs, and I'll fast forward through this bit. Also important, while you're opening your packs, cards and packs have to stay on the table. So if you're like awkward like me and you want to open it like close to your stomach so you have more dexterity, you can do that. Just make sure they stay above the table. Also, some people have some very unique ways, and I'll be polite about it and say some very obnoxious ways to open up packs. Just try not to be a jerk to them. Just don't pay them attention. Thankfully, the ones that were really annoying didn't last long, so we didn't have to deal with them for too much. All right, so that's all the packs. So they'll say, put your cards in front of you. And then at that point, you're going to give your cards to your registration partner. And your registration partner is going to give their cards to you. Now, also at this point, they're going to give you a spreadsheet. Okay. They're going to give you a spreadsheet. In fact, I'll make a quick mock-up here of what that'll look like. So they'll give you a spreadsheet. This is just a quick mock-up, and it'll look something like this. It'll have the name of the cards, and then it'll have a quantity symbol next to it. And the name of the cards and quantity. Now, the one we had in Houston was very disorganized. It was in alphabetical order by orbital, which is not inherently easy to understand because you barely know what the orbitals are when you're first starting out. So when you pass your deck to your opponent, you're also going to pass them the registration sheet. Now, your name is going to be on the registration sheet. You might have to write it in. And then their name is going to go on your registration sheet as well. So you're going to be the player whose cards they are. Your partner is going to say, I am the one registering the cards. You don't register your own cards because, again, you can just make up cards and just swap them out later. Your partner is going to register them. So Junkyard Joe has my deck. I have Junkyard Joe's deck. I'm going to write my name on his paper saying I'm registering it. And the first thing that you're going to do is you're actually just going to count the cards. So you're going to go through and you're going to count and you're going to make sure that they have 72 cards. That's how many cards should be in a pack. Also, you'll notice that some of the cards are two-sided. That's normal. If you've never played the game, there are something called lands. You don't need lands in your deck, but they're nice to have. So just in case you don't pull any lands, because this is not Magic, you don't bring your own lands. The cards in the box are the cards you play with. Just in case you don't pull any lands, which is actually hard to do because many of them are common. If you don't pull any lands or enough lands, the token cards are two-sided. So you can use token cards. They're tokens like pennies or dice that you might use in the game, but because they're physical cards, they can have special abilities. For this one's just a beast token, but some of them can have an additional class that can help your cards. So don't be alarmed if you have double-sided cards. There should be a double-sided card in the middle of every pack. If not, you hit an alt art, and that is a very nice card. Take very good care of it. If your opponent hits an alt art, don't mess it up for them because it's a very nice card and you want to take care of it. So you're going to go through and you're going to count that there are 72 cards. You'll also count that there are 6 double-sided cards. That's how the double-sided tokens work, okay? And if you don't hit a double-sided token, nothing's wrong with your pack. Again, you probably hit a formless foil alt art. Those are very nice to have. You want those instead of a double-sided token. Now, you're going to count 72 cards for your opponent and verify there are 72 cards in their deck. I had to count it 3 times to make sure there were 72 because I kept counting a different number. So just be patient with your opponent. Some of us can only count to 20, so that makes us do more math at the end of the day. All right, then once you count all the cards and you know that you have all 72 of their cards, now you're going to write down all the cards that they have, okay? Now, here's what I recommend. If they sort it by orbital, meaning it was 3 sheets, each sheet had 2.5 orbitals or something like that. Orbitals are the different styles of cards. For example, this is Patria. Some people call it green. This is Heliosynth. Some people call it yellow. This is Umbrathine. Some people call it black or purple. This is Sulfera. Whoa, look at that. That's a mythic. That's a mythic right there. There's Sulfera, which some people call red. So you can kind of match it by color. I would recommend if you look at the spreadsheet and it says, here's all the Boundless cards, here's all the Heliosynth cards, tell us how many. I would recommend you go ahead and sort them by color, and then from there, sort them by alphabetical. So we've got Patria, we've got Heliosynth, we've got Umbrathine, we've got Sulfera. This is another Sulfera. And so you can just kind of come through. There's a Heliosynth, there's a Boundless, there's another Boundless. And so you can kind of come through real quick and just sort these by color. And I won't do everything. The first is on its own. See how it's white bordered and it has that special orbital list icon? There's only 2 cards that have that. So you can just put that off to the side. Look at that, Staff of Eldritch Tribesmen. Man, this is a great start here. So you'll just organize these by color. And then as well, the tokens are on their own section. So you can go ahead and all the double-sided cards, you can go ahead and take out, and that'll just be less you have to worry about later. So you're going to go through and you're going to organize everything by color, if that's easier, and then put them in alphabetical order. So once you have all of the Umbrathines, you can just put them in order. So D before S, V after S, 2 Ds, there we go, okay? And that way when you go through the list here, you'll go through the Umbrathine list and then you'll just say, okay, 2 Dealmaker Palladius. So you write 2 next to Dealmaker Palladius. 1 Staff of Eldritch Tribesmen, 1 Staff of Eldritch Tribesmen. And then at the end, on the back of the page, there was all the tokens. That's where you put these guys. You'll put all the tokens as well as the first. You'll put that there. Now, I'll tell you, this does take the longest. And this part right here is kind of why it takes an hour to an hour and a half to do all this. Because some people just don't know where to find cards in the list. They don't know that some cards are the alphabeticalization of the cards. That's hard to say. Is not aligned with the card count number. So it's a different style. It's like speaking a different language almost. So this will take the longest. But once you register all your opponent cards and you verified yourself that you counted correctly and you wrote down that they have, when you add up all the quantities, that they have 72 cards written down on deck registration, then you're going to hand them their cards. So here you go, Junkyard Joe. And then they're going to hand you your cards and your paper. Then you're going to take what they wrote down and you're going to verify that they wrote what was correct. This is where you're basically checking for errors. Okay, now hopefully they kept everything in order for you, so it's very simple. My guy kind of went through and just kind of wrote it down like this. So when he gave them back to me, they were in backwards alphabetical order. Not a problem. I just dealt with it. So you check your cards, make sure that they wrote it down correctly. Everything's kosher. You raise your hand. The judge comes by. You give them your sheet, and then you start deck building. Now I'll tell you this, once you get to this point, you've already been sitting down at your chair, cards in full view. You never took cards out. And you want to make sure everything's on the table. Now you can actually start deck building. And if you want to start, when you start deck building, you got to make sure that you understand how much time is left, how much time you have. And that time includes sleeving your cards. So when the judge said, hey, you've got 1 more minute. And I was like, okay, that's 1 minute to build a deck. And then we get time to sleeve our cards. And he was like, no, you got to sleeve your cards now. And I was like, oh my gosh. So thankfully my registration partner was super nice and helped me sleeve my cards. He was a real trooper, real help with that. So then you can go through your cards. Now I'll have some deck building tips. Richie or Capricorn on YouTube has a way better video than I do on deck building. So I'll put a link to his video down below, as well as a link to my How to Play Sealed. Just goes through some of the high level rules that you need to know when it comes to building your deck, how many cards of each and how to deck build. Because if you go off of the main game rules, the deck building for the main game is not the same as deck building for sealed. So you want to be aware of that. But that's it. So once you have that, you'll start building your deck of 30 cards, and then you'll start sleeving them and you'll be ready to play. So there you have it, deck registration process. Now look, I know watching a video and spending time beforehand, it might seem daunting. Just remember, we're all there to have fun. The judges want you to have fun, but they also want to make sure that everyone follows the same rules, processes, and procedures to make sure it's fun and fair for everyone. So if you ever have a question, ask the people around you, raise your hand, ask the judge. It is a little bit of an inconvenience, but it's better to ask now and not be sorry later. And if you have any questions about specifically playing the sealed format, I'll have a video down below, how to play sealed in Wonders of the First. It's very top level, very entry level. It'll walk you through what to look for in some of the cards, how you're going to rip the cards, what are the deck requirements, because the same deck requirements, if you look in the main rules, are not the same as sealed play. So I want to make sure you understand that the decks are different, the core rules are different, lands played different as far as the linking. So I want to make sure you know all that. There will be a link to that video down below. Go watch that so you're familiar with the deck building process. So we covered registration. I already covered deck building in that video down below. Tomorrow, I'm going to go over some rules that I even missed after playing since launch. There are still some rules that I missed, so I will put a video out tomorrow. Just some of the nuance of the game that is really going to impact how you might build your deck or what you might do with some cards, and a couple of keywords that you want to look out for, even if they're not on the cards I go over. There are some keywords that you need to be aware of. For example, when you may do something or may not do something. So make sure you like and subscribe to see that video coming up. And then on the Friday, I'm going to share all the cards I got in trades and prizes, and you can see a little bit of what to expect if you start winning at the sealed tournament. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Like and subscribe. If you don't want to like it, that's fine. If you want to dislike it, please do. In fact, do it twice. I'll see you in the next video. Adios.